Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
You can repeat after me. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna. So, we are coming up on the very auspicious Gaura Purnima Mahotsav festival. What is Gaura Purnima? Appearance of
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Gaurang Mahaprabhu. Why is he called Gauranga? Golden complexion. Ah, perfect. And now, double points. Why is he golden?
Because we want to have Radharani, Srimati Radharani.
He wants to have what?
Srimati Radharani complexion. As a mood of Radharani, devotee.
He's coming as the mood of Srimati Radharani. So, let us discuss a little bit about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his glorious appearance. Because his appearance day, we were discussing yesterday, it is considered the most auspicious day in our Vedic calendar. So, in this verse, we'll read this verse from Adi Lila. Adi Lila, chapter 4, verse number 15 and 16. Premi rasa nirasa se karite ashvadana raga marga bhakti loke karite pracharana rasika sekara Krishna parama karuna edu hetu haite icharu gama. Translation. The Lord's desire to appear was born from two reasons. The Lord wanted to taste the sweet essence of mellows of love of God, and He wanted to propagate devotional service to the world on the platform of spontaneous attraction. Thus He is known as supremely jubilant and as the most merciful of all. Purport. By His divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. During the period of Lord Krishna's appearance, the killing of asuras or non-believers such as Kamsa and Jarasandha was done by Vishnu, who was within the person of Sri Krishna. Such apparent killing by Lord Sri Krishna took place as a matter of course and was an incidental activity for him. But the real purpose of Lord Krishna's appearance was to stage a dramatic performance of his transcendental pastimes at Vrajabhumi, thus exhibiting the highest limit of transcendental mellow in the exchange of reciprocal love between the living entity and the Supreme Lord. These reciprocal exchanges are the mellows are called Raga Bhakti, or devotional service to the Lord in transcendental rapture. Lord Sri Krishna wants to make known to all the conditioned souls that he is most attracted by Raga Bhakti than Vaidhi Bhakti. Devotional service under regulation, scheduled regulations. It is said in the Vedas, Rasovaisha, the absolute truth is the reservoir for all kinds of reciprocal exchanges of loving sentiments. He is causelessly merciful, and he wants to bestow upon us the privilege of Raga Bhakti. Thus he appeared by his own internal energy. He was not forced to appear by any extraneous force. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuru Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamstra Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parinana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Rindavaneshware Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Krapa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitam Nam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Desha Tarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, welcome to our discussion today on Lord. So, who is hearing about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for the first time? Okay. Good. So, we'll start by establishing who is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, in the beginning, in this third chapter of Adi Lila, of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is relating a conversation or an experience that Krishna himself was experiencing. So we know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that we have established in our study, and is enjoined in all of Shastra. And Krishna has only one real function. He has only one real activity that gives him happiness. And what is that activity? What gives Krishna happiness? Anybody know?
Service devotees.
Service devotees. Krishna, only thing he enjoys is rendering service to his devotees. To giving everything he has to his devotees. That is the source of his happiness. And what is the source of happiness for his devotees? Giving themselves to Krishna. So, this is the very sweet relationship between Krishna and his devotees. It is a relationship of selfless service. Selfless service means that I'm rendering this service with no expectation of anything in return. Anybody goes to the office and renders selfless service? Huh? If the paycheck doesn't come on Friday, what happens on Monday? No service. Right? So that is not selfless service. Right? Selfless service means doing with no expectation of anything in return. And we know that that type of service is most pleasing. Right? So we were using this example last night. I think it worked good, so we'll use it again today. That we know that if a child is rendering service in the home, and the motivation for that child to do some service for mother and father is that that child would get some ice cream, one ice cream cone. And mother and father know. Is that service pleasing to mother and father? To some degree, right? It's still pleasing. And after giving this service, mother and father will likely give one ice cream cone to that child, no? Now, if this child instead is rendering service with no expectation of anything in return, now, is that service pleasing to mother and father? Much more so. And carrying this example forward, how many ice cream cones child would get in this instance? More or less? Much more. Much more. This is our relationship with Krishna. Krishna says that when one comes to me with some desires, either material desires, relief from distress, out of inquisitiveness or curious, this artha, arti, jnani, jignasu, he says there are pious souls. Because even though they are coming to me for ice cream cone in this example, still they are coming to me. So he considers them pious. But one who comes to Krishna with no desire, no expectation of return, this is the most pleasing to Krishna. And Krishna reciprocates back even more. So this is like the almost counterintuitive, right? We have been taught, we go to the temple and we submit our list of prayers to the Lord. Please give me this, please give me that. And then for my wife or husband, I'll take that. For my child, this. And the whole list comes. Right? But actually, the devotee understands that this pure bhakti is that when this service is rendered with no expectation of return. And they have faith that because Krishna, being the loving Father, He'll provide everything. And when the devotee renders selfless service, he knows whatever I can even dream of asking of the Lord, He'll give much, much more. So in this way, this selfless service is the core secret to spiritual life. And this is the eternal relationship we have with Krishna, our Supreme Father, is to just render loving service. And what is the only function of the Supreme Lord? To give back to His devotees. It is a two-way street, exchange of love. So Krishna comes once in the day of Brahma to show this relationship. It's written in Shastra. It's described very extensively. But He comes and shows this relationship He has with His devotees, specifically the devotees of Vrajabhumi, as Srila Prabhupada wrote in his purport. That relationship is so sweet. And what makes it so sweet is this selfless exchange of love. So to inspire us to take to this process, Krishna comes and performs these different pastimes and activities. Now, we should understand the great fortune we have to be even aware of these pastimes, because Krishna appears only once in the day of Brahma. And in the day of Brahma, there are 994 yuga cycles. And Krishna appears only in one of those Dwapara yugas. And that Dwapara yuga happened to be the Dwapara yuga that just completed 5,000 years ago. So in this 8.6 billion year cycle of one day of Brahma, we have somehow come to this human form of life very near, very recent to Krishna's appearance. And it is a great fortune, because only when Krishna comes does this knowledge of pure bhakti become revealed. In all other different aspects of spirituality are described. But this highest, ultimate perfection, only Krishna himself reveals. Nobody else. But after Krishna comes and performs his pastimes, he is lamenting, having a feeling that I told how to do everything. I even showed this relationship between myself and my devotees in all of my Vraja Lila Vrindavan pastimes. But I did not personally show how to practice this pure bhakti. So he is lamenting this way. He is thinking, I have to come back. And when I come back, I am going to show this great practice of bhakti. And that is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is considered Mahavadanaya. Mahavadanaya, most merciful. In this verse we read, it was Parama Karuna, the most merciful personality. Why most merciful? Because Krishna was not satisfied by just telling how to practice pure bhakti. He said, no, now I want to come and show it. And so in this way, he came just 500 years ago, 530 plus years ago, in the modern time era, 1486, which is just about the time Christopher Columbus was sailing west. So just to put it in context, relatively very recent. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, again, is Krishna himself. He is not avatar. He is avatari. He is the source of all avatars. He himself is come, not his expansion. Most times when Krishna comes, he comes in all of his different expansions. But there are a few times when he comes himself. And just recently in our history, he has come. So this is how fortunate we are to have achieved this human form of life in this time, to become aware of these teachings and to be able to apply them. But if we don't, how many lifetimes we would have to pass in order for 8.6 billion years to... Because this will not happen until another 8.6 billion years. That's how long it is. So understanding that, we get some inspiration to practice with some sincerity. So what is it that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is teaching? So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes, Panchatatvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavatanam Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. He says, Panchatatvatmakam Krishnam. Krishna has come in Panchatattva, 5 forms. And the first form is, of course, Krishna coming as himself. And he came to show the process of devotional service. And his principal teaching was this. that he said, in this age of Kali Yuga, nobody is ready to partake in great austerity. Anybody is looking forward to some austerity? Some tapasya? No. And nobody is ready to put forth extensive effort. We see this, right? We want everything instant. The kitchen is a great example, right? We used to make all the things from scratch, like, grind our own flour. We used to, grow our own vegetable. Now, open a box, pour some liquid water, microwave, and done, right? That's like the perfect meal. Those businesses are doing very well, right? We want instant. We are not ready to put forth so much effort. So Krishna, recognizing that symptom in the symptom of Kali Yuga, he established a Yuga Dharma. So in every Yuga, there is a particular Dharma. There is a particular process of spiritual life that is most potent, that is empowered to achieve the end result. So in Satyuga, that process is meditation. In Trita Yuga, it is Yagya. In Dwapara Yuga, it is to deity worship. And in Kali Yuga, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna himself came to personally establish the Yuga Dharma of chanting. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. He came to establish that this single process of chanting the holy names of the Lord, they are fully potent and capable of uplifting our entire consciousness. Because he says that I have put all of my potency, whatever ability I have, Krishna is saying, he has embedded them within the holy names. And thus, whatever result we may get from any other spiritual practice, it is included within this single process of chanting the holy names. So one does not have to become an erudite scholar of Shastra. One doesn't have to, undergo great austerity. We don't have to go to the forest and live in a very secluded place, eating on roots and berries. One doesn't have to, try to control the life airs and engage in various very arduous controls of the body. These processes are not practical in this age. But instead the Lord says, by the single process of chanting the holy names, one can achieve the supreme perfection. Actually, the perfection beyond any other perfection. Why? Because in this practice of spiritual life, this pure bhakti, in this spontaneous loving mood, it only comes in these teachings from Krishna related to his Vrindavan pastimes. If you study and perfect all the different other Vedic Shastras, will achieve some level of perfection. But this particular gift Krishna is giving, it is only achievable through this process that he is enjoying. And that's why everywhere he would go and chant this mantra, Haranam, Haranam, Haranam Eva Kevalam, Kalau Nashta Eva, Nashta Eva, Nashta Eva Gatir Anyatha. He would tell whoever he saw, Harinama, Harinama, Harinama. The holy names, the holy names, the holy names. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. Nashta Eva, Nashta Eva, Nashta Eva. That there is no other way. This is the way. And so Krishna comes in this mood of a devotee to spread this consciousness. Now, this is the external reason why Krishna came. Out of his unlimited compassion to deliver all of us. But when we hear the internal reasons of why he came, actually then we'll become inspired to actually follow this practice. So, we say for New Year, what is the goal of our life? Why do I want to go back to Godhead? Why do I want to serve Krishna?
To come back again.
Why I don't want to come back again?
To have all these
Our
pains.
soul is happy with it when it connects to the super soul.
So the soul is happy when it's connected to the super soul. So I'll tell the statement that every living entity has the same goal. We are all united, whether we are attending this satsang here, whether we are in some bar, we are in some movie theater, we are in somebody else's house, or we are a bird in a tree, we are a squirrel on the ground, we are an ant underground. Every living entity has only one goal. And what is that goal? Happiness. I asked a question I always ask. Anybody woke up today wanting to be unhappy? No? Nobody woke up today wanting to be unhappy? Okay. So far nobody has ever answered yes. That's good. So this is the goal we all have. Right? And we know if I have an option between activity A and activity B, how do I choose which activity I will do?
Which is easiest to give more efficient results and which gives the permanent happiness.
So which gives me more happiness, right? Between option A and option B, if they're both available to me, I'll decide which one gives me more happiness, right? Like we go to a buffet and I pick this item and not this item. Why do I pick? Because I like this one, I don't like this one. Or maybe I like this more. So we make decisions based on what will give us the highest happiness. Right? Pretty common logic. Now, if we could find an activity that would give us unlimited happiness, we would be excited to find that.
Yes.
Yeah. If we were giving out the process for unlimited happiness, how long the line would be to come in? It would be out the door, around the corner, around the globe, right? Because everybody wants that. Right? And we're giving happiness that is eternal. It never ends. So we know one thing. In all our pursuit of happiness, our whole life we have been pursuing it. Right? Our whole life we have been pursuing. Not one moment have we been endeavoring to pursue unhappiness. So our whole life we have been pursuing, not just this lifetime, millions of lifetimes. And have we found this unending, unlimited bliss? So, now, if something I have been searching for my whole existence, somebody is going to give to me for free, at no cost, would we be very happy? Very grateful? Would we consider that person very compassionate and loving? That is Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Because he is giving this highest happiness in our entire existence through this process of pure bhakti, this no ice cream service, just rendering service. But we want proof, no? Don't we all need proof that this is actually the highest happiness? Maybe a bag full of diamonds will give me more happiness. Maybe, 10,000, 10 million, 10 billion followers on Facebook or Instagram will give me happiness. Maybe, big strength. We need proof, right? So, we know one thing, that Krishna is all-knowing. Right? That's what makes him God. And what are we? Are we all-knowing? In reality, we don't know much. I don't even know what's happening inside my little finger here. I have no idea what's happening. I want to use this to try to claim I have so much knowledge, but I have no idea what's happening inside this pole. I have no idea. It's just here, so close, but I have no idea. So our knowledge is limited, but Krishna's knowledge is perfect, right? So let us understand how much happiness comes from this pure bhakti to Krishna. This is the proof. The happiness that one experiences in pure devotional service is so complete and overwhelming. Now, this statement I'm going to make is going to be difficult to digest. But it's so perfect and complete that even Krishna himself cannot understand it. He is the knower of everything. He is the source of everything. So when Lord Brahma composed in Brahma Samhita, this Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadi Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. Anadi Adir. This means he is the source of all sources. Right? So when one has the source of everything, nobody by logical deduction can have more than that person. Right? Like in the home, child is fully dependent on father. Child cannot have more wealth than mother and father. Right? Because their wealth is coming from mother and father. So whatever they might have is just a subset of mother and father. So in that same way, Krishna being the source of everything, it means he also has the entire totality of happiness. But there is a break in that formula. That formula breaks when it comes to this pure bhakti. This devotion without any motive. I am serving out of my love with no expectation. When that manifests, this whole formula breaks. And what happens? That Krishna's happiness is complete and full. But his devotee's happiness exceeds his own. Now this is a very, again, maybe difficult to identify, but very important point. That how the devotee can enjoy more than Krishna. How that's possible. Right? Our false ego brought us here. And what was our major flaw? We said, why you Krishna, why not me? We wanted to be God. We wanted to be controller. But actually, if we now know who enjoys more, God or pure devotee? It's pure devotee. That Krishna is saying that the happiness my pure devotee has, I'm seeing it, it's beyond my own. How is that possible? He becomes bewildered by the potency of his own bhakti. I know, a little bit hard to even contemplate, right? How this is possible. But this is actually what happens. That this pure bhakti is so pleasing to Krishna, he becomes so endeared by it that the devotee experiences his happiness even beyond his. And what happens is, when Krishna sees the devotee happy, what happens to him? He becomes happy. But when devotee sees Krishna happy, what happens to devotee? Happy. And then when Krishna sees devotee, but Krishna is lamenting one thing. He says, each time I catch up, the devotee goes ahead of me. I can never catch up. And there's this transcendental competition. And this happiness competition, it manifests in its purest form between Krishna and Srimati Radharani. Srimati Radharani is serving Krishna in such a selfless mood that Krishna is like bewildered. That I can never catch up to her. She's always beating me. But I am the source of everything. Anadir Adir. And this is the transcendental nature of pure devotional service. It's so powerful that even the happiness surpasses that of the Supreme Lord. Now that we can find on Amazon, in Somerset Mall, in any other facility. This is the proof positive of the potency of bhakti. That it's so potent that even Krishna himself said, you know, I want to come in the mood of a devotee. And I want to taste that sweetness that my devotee tastes in serving me. Krishna says, I want to taste that. Because they're getting so much rasa from it. He says, what is so sweet about serving me? So he comes to experience that sweetness that he has not tasted anywhere else. Just like somebody, brings one rasgulla and says, this rasgulla you'll never have eaten before. This comes, all rasgulla not, but this is a special one. Like that, Krishna is thinking, I want to taste this sweetness. All other happiness I've tasted. So he says, I'm going to come in the mood of a devotee and practice bhakti myself. And he says that I want to experience this highest happiness. This happiness that even I cannot reach, that I want to take. What is this? Second reason. And the third reason is that when he sees Srimati Radharani serving in such a selfless mood, he becomes so endeared. He says, how somebody can be so selfless in this service? She says, and Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami comments at the end of this Chaitanya Charitamrita, she says something that is beyond perplexing. She says that if my devastation, my destruction is the source of Krishna's happiness, then my destruction is my happiness. Why? Because that pleased Krishna. She's so only, not, I care about Krishna's happiness as long as I'm okay. No, it's complete selfless. We actually cannot even understand the extent of her selfless service. And Krishna himself cannot understand the extent of her selfless service. So he says, I want to experience that position of selfless service. So, this relationship of pure bhakti, it's so sweet and so mysterious that even the Supreme Lord himself comes to experience it. And this is what the inner meaning of Krishna's appearance. So the outer meaning is, he came to teach us this process. But the inner meaning, he himself was anxious to taste it. So if Krishna himself is anxious to taste it, then what should we do? Do we need any more evidence that this is the singular perfection of life? This is the singular process. Nothing else that Krishna can give can surpass this. Because even this, he came himself to try to experience. And this highest of all achievements, Krishna came and gave. Who did he give to? He said that he gives to the most unqualified persons. Who is eager to give to the most unqualified? Nobody. Right? Employer hires the person who is most qualified. Right? University admits the student who is the most qualified. But Krishna says, I came as Patita Pavana, the deliverer of the fallen. The deliverer of the fallen. So Narottam Das Thakur says, hey, Mosama Patita Prabhu Na Paye Bihar. He says, okay, I am the most fallen. Narottam Das Thakur is saying. So you have to give me your mercy. If you don't give me your mercy, you cannot be called Patita Pavan. Because you will not have delivered the most fallen. Because you will not find anybody most fallen than me. And of course, this is Narottam Das Thakur's humility. But this is the special mercy of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. That he is giving this supremely confidential and highest of all perfections. And he is giving with the simplest of process. No intense austerity, no intense tapasya, no scholarship needed, no wealth needed, nothing. Anyone. No restrictions, any time, any place, anywhere. Just chant. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. He said, just chant. By this simplest of process, one can achieve this highest of perfection. So high that even I myself, Krishna is saying, came to experience it. And if you are more unqualified, it makes you first in line. Anybody has ever given us this equation? Highest result, simple process, and least deserving, first in line. We've seen this anywhere? Only Gauranga Mahaprabhu's mercy. And that is why he is Mahavadanaya. Krishna Prema. He is giving Krishna Prema Pradayate to everybody. And this is the special significance of Gaura Purnima. It is why it is the most auspicious day of our year. Because if we observe Gaura Purnima with some sincerity and some determination, then we'll actually be able to observe all the other spiritual days in our Vedic calendar. Because by the mercy of Gauranga Mahaprabhu, everything is possible. But without the mercy of Gauranga Mahaprabhu, nothing can happen. So this is our supreme fortune to take advantage of this knowledge that Krishna himself came to impart upon us through his pastimes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, through Guru Parampara, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. We have come to know something about Gauranga Mahaprabhu and the inner meanings of his advent, his mercy, and his instructions. And he left us with 8 instructions. These instructions when he came in Krishna Lila, he gave whole Bhagavad Gita 700 verses. But when he came in his Gaura Lila, he left just 8 verses, 8 instructions. And who wants to guess what those 8 instructions are about? They have only one topic. Nope. Chanting. Just chant. Just chant. Just chant. So he gives the whole process of chanting in these 8 verses. He explains the potency of the chanting in the first verse. 7. If you want to cleanse the heart, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. You want to marjan, you want to cleanse the heart. How many of us would like to be free of the impure things in our heart? I won't ask us to reveal the impure things in our heart, but we all know they are there. We want to become free of the troublesome of this world. It's like a blazing fire. When we are in the midst of a blazing fire, we want to get out. What is that extinguishing that fire of conditional life? It's chanting. It's like the cooling rays of the moon. It is the chanting. And like this, he explains all the benefits. It is a life of all knowledge. What does that mean? The essence of all transcendental knowledge is to come to the point of chanting the holy names of the Lord. In the second verse, Krishna says, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, that I have put all my potency into these holy names. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. I have not put any restrictions on them. Anyone can chant anytime, any place. But, there's a but. What is the but? That is our greatest misfortune. Actually, we have a long list of my misfortunes. I don't have this, I don't have that, I have this. But anyway, we only have one misfortune. Anybody want to know? What is that one misfortune? That is my only misfortune. Durdevam idrisham ahajani na anuragaha. I have no raga, I have no attachment to the chanting of the holy names. That is my misfortune. Because if I solve that, and I develop my attachment to the chanting of the holy names, all my other so-called misfortunes will automatically be solved. Just like if you have a long line of bricks stacked, right? And you want to knock them all down. What do you have to do? Just knock the first one, right? And tick, 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 those dominoes will fall. So we have many, many, perceived misfortunes. But our first in line misfortune is this. The chanting of the holy name. No attachment. If we knock that one down, all the other dominoes will fall. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is shining a light. That we pray to him on this Gaura Purnima day to solve this misfortune. How many of us have prayed to Krishna that I am so unfortunate, I have no attraction to the holy names? Good. 1. 2. So we should do this on Sunday, Gaura Purnima day, and actually every day. And if you want to chant the holy names of the Lord constantly, Kirtaniya Sadahari. We want to chant the names of Hari constantly. What do we need to do? It says, Trunadapi Sunichena, Tarodapi Sahishvana, Amanina Manadena. One must be humble. One must be tolerant. Tolerant like a tree. If you kick a tree, it will still give you an apple. If you insult a tree, it will still give you shade. That is tolerance. We should be tolerant, more tolerant than a tree. And amanina manadena. We should offer respects to everyone, but not expect anything in return. Amanina manadena is like the marriage counseling savior. Okay? If we apply this verse principle, everything is perfect. Actually, all conflict arises from ego. I want this. But if we just apply this, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continues. I won't, in the interest of time, go on. But this chanting is explained in this process. And there's a beautiful pastime of Haridas Thakur. I'll just end in 3 minutes. We'll take some questions. That Haridas Thakur was born in a low-class family. And he was considered untouchable. But in fact, he was the most dear associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And what made him dear? Because he was fully attached to chanting of the holy names. The endearing quality to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu of Haridas Thakur was his chanting of the holy names. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had established that he is the Nam Acharya, the Acharya of the holy names. And we tell that you all must come to the platform. Embrace yourself. You must come to this platform of chanting 16 rounds every day. It is the minimum dosage needed to overcome the influences of this material world. But Haridas Thakur was chanting 192 rounds every day. And he was so humble. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would call him that come into the associate and enjoy with us. And he said, no, I am fallen. I cannot be in your presence. Once all the associates were seated under a beautiful tree and there was a mountain of Jagannath Prasadam there. And they were all enjoying and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was personally giving into the plates of everyone. And Haridas Thakur is seated outside and he's observing. You can imagine if we are outside watching this, what our mood would be. I want to go. I want to come. Why that person's there and I'm not there? All these thoughts would be like this. But what was Haridas Thakur's mood? He was in ecstasy. Why he was in ecstasy? He was in ecstasy seeing the devotees receiving this mercy from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. His heart was so pure, there wasn't even a tinge of envy. That he was happy seeing others receiving this special mercy. This is bhakti. This is the mood of a devotee. He was so ecstatic. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu called him, said, Haridas, Haridas, come. And he said, no, I'll not come. I am too fallen. How he is fallen? These qualities, ability to chant like this mood of enjoying the success of others without an ounce of resentment of his own loss. Haridas Thakur had such exquisite qualities that when somebody achieves something great, always people want to knock him down, right? That is the nature of the material world. Once one king tried to defame him and sent to him a very beautiful prostitute and said, I want you to engage him and will then record and have, defame his character. So this prostitute came in the night time and Haridas Thakur was seated in his hermitage in front of Tulsi Mani and was chanting. And she said, I'm here to see you. He says, whatever you have come for, I'll attend to you, but let me finish my rounds. And he continued chanting. And because he had this 190, he finished his rounds very early in the morning. And by the time he finished, she had gone. The king asked what happened. She explained. He said, okay, go back again. So second night, she comes. And he's chanting. He says, just wait. Whatever you have come for, I will attend to. But let me finish my japa. And she's chanting. He's chanting. Early morning comes again. She's gone. Informs the king. Says, okay, go again. The third night, same story. He continues chanting. And after finishing chanting, she is there. And she says, explains to him why she has come. But she says, now I have lost all desire to serve the king and to serve my profession. And I only want to be your servant. She became purified. How? By hearing his chanting. She came to impurify him, but he was untouchable. Not in the sense we think. He was untouchable by Maya. And she became a great, great devotee. He told, you give up all your things. You shave your head. He even told her, she was attached to her beauty. And you go to the banks of the Ganga and you chant the holy names. And she became an empowered, great devotee of the Lord. This is the potency of Haridas Thakur. And where that potency came from? His chanting. And now we want proof of how pleasing he was to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was ready to complete his pastime, Haridas Thakur was basically on his deathbed. He was lying flat. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu every day used to go take darshan of Lord Jagannath, and immediately after taking darshan of Lord Jagannath would come to see Haridas Thakur. Because Haridas Thakur would never go in to see Lord Jagannath because he considered himself unqualified. So Krishna himself used to come to see him. This is how Krishna reciprocates to his devotees. His devotee is never precluded. Externally we see he could not go see Lord Jagannath. But every day Krishna was coming in just Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to see him. And on this, nearing the end of his pastime, Haridas Thakur is saying that I am sick, feeble, unable to do anything. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asks, oh, what is your affliction? What has happened? He says, my only affliction is my contaminated heart and mind. He's not talking about his bodily pains. This is not working, that is not working. He's simply saying, my heart and mind are impure. What impurity he has? Zero. But this is the mood of the devotee. And Haridas Thakur says, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you please allow me one blessing. You give me one blessing. That I cannot tolerate separation from you. I know you're about to complete your pastimes and I don't want to see that. Please let me leave my body before you. And you know what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says? I cannot do that. Why? He says, my only happiness is my association with you, Haridas. Without you, I have nothing. This is how Krishna reciprocates with his devotees. The next day, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came back to see him. And he informed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Haridas that I'm going to leave my body now. He engaged a huge kirtan. And Haridas Thakur left his body. Right there. In the presence of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did? He picked up Haridas Thakur's body, put on his lap, and told all the associates, this is the devotee. This is the epitome of devotee. Took his body to the ocean, bathed his body in the ocean. This is who? Krishna himself. Krishna himself. Bathed his body in the ocean. Dug a hole with his own hands and put Haridas Thakur in samadhi. Covered back the body with his own hands. Circumambulated 3 times Haridas Thakur's. And then declared that this water, this ocean is a holy tirtha. Now, because it has touched the body of Haridas Thakur. You want more? Then he went to the Simhadwara gate of Jagannath temple and there became a beggar and was begging alms to make as an offering to Haridas Thakur's samadhi. This is Krishna's love for his devotee. This is Krishna's love for his devotee. It is not some theoretical statements, but in reality, we see how Krishna reciprocates with his devotees. And Haridas Thakur's great qualification was that he was attached to chanting of the holy names. So if we want to please Gauranga Mahaprabhu, we can develop some attachment to chanting of the holy names. And if we are misfortunate, like I am, with no taste, then we can beg to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, please give me some taste for chanting of the holy names. And him being most merciful, he will certainly do that. And next Sunday is Gaura Purnima. It is the best day to make this prayer and make progress in achieving this highest perfection of life, highest happiness that even Krishna himself could not understand, through the simplest of process. And if we are most unqualified, that puts us in the front of the line. That is Mahavadana. Thank you very much. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki, Shri Gaura Purnima Mahotsav ki, Srila Prabhupada. Any questions, comments? Some questions? We have some time? A few minutes? Any questions? Yes? Most fallen or most elevated has nothing to do with my bodily designation. It has to do with my consciousness. One can be a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya or Shudra. That has no bearing on one's qualification or misqualification. Nobody is qualified nor disqualified by birth. Only one is qualified or misqualified by consciousness. Just like son of a doctor doesn't make that son a doctor. Doctor has to become qualified. Then they can become doctor. So, one's qualification is determined by one's consciousness, the purity of the heart. So that is what determines us. Nothing else. Everything else is superficial. And nobody is precluded from achieving the highest of all perfection. No matter what our birth is, no matter what our starting point is, no matter what we have done in the past. Past is past. Krishna is so kind. He's ready to forgive it all. He says, Sarva dharmam prityaja mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo. I'll forgive everything. That's it. Any other questions, comments?
Why Haridas Thakur is saying that he is most honored?
Because the devotee, the Uttama Adhikari devotee, the most pure devotee, they are so humble, they don't see anyone's faults. They only see the good qualities in others. When they see themselves, they only see their bad qualities. So when they compare themselves, they are only seeing all good qualities. And I am saying, so fallen. So he considers himself most fallen. Is he most fallen? No, he is most elevated. But his vision is this. He's only seeing the good qualities in others. But what do we see? Somebody does 99 good to us and 1 bad. Where does 99% of our concentration go? To that 1 bad thing. That's why he considers himself most fallen. But actually he is most elevated.
So the next one, without Nityananda Prabhu's, Mahaprabhu's mercy, we cannot get Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. Please explain that.
Yeah. So Lord Nityananda holds the key to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's heart. If you have a treasure chest, it is great, but if you don't have the key to open it, what is the value? So, Lord Nityananda, we approach for the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because Lord Nityananda is Guru Tattva. Right? So we cannot approach Krishna directly. That is the way Shastra is in the... That we must approach Krishna through Guru Parampara. And Lord Nityananda is the source of Guru Tattva. So that is why by offering our pranams to Lord Nityananda, we can then obtain the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, without his mercy, you cannot obtain the mercy of Lord Nityananda. And without both of their mercy, we cannot attain the mercy of Krishna. That's how it goes. Yes.
Now, day-to-day life, we are doing so many tasks to meet our basic needs. So, among these Hariburi, how to develop our desire to do more chanting, much more attachment to chanting in practical.
Well, in practical terms, just do it. That's the Nike slogan, right? Just do it. Don't let the mind decide. Let the intelligence decide. The mind will give us all kinds of reasons why I cannot. All kinds of excuses the mind will give. But the intelligence knows this is most important. And we know to achieve anything that we really wanted in life, we had to make some sacrifices. To graduate school, to come to this country, to progress in our job, it requires sacrifices. So to make success in this, we'll also need to make some sacrifices. But we must be determined. Our basic needs, our job, our family responsibilities, home responsibilities, there are 192 hours in a week. Krishna is saying, give me 8.4%. He's not saying, give me 50%, give me 70%. He's not even saying 30%. You give me this and you chant my names. And that you give, you see how he reciprocates. I used to tell my father all the time, I don't have time, I don't have time, I don't have time. And he would just laugh. I say, you have time, you don't have taste. Time is never an excuse. We have to make the time if we want it. So, we should remain determined to make it happen. And when we remain determined, Krishna reciprocates. That determination never goes unanswered. Just like when a child is determined to do something in a home, what does mother and father do? Helps them. Doesn't sit back idle and watch them struggle. Mother and father will jump in and help. But they want to see first that child is putting the effort first. So we are children. We have to put the effort first. And when we do, I guarantee Krishna will come and he will help it make it happen. But we have to do our part. So don't let the mind make the excuses of the day. Because it will. Mind will always tell us all kinds of reasons why it can't happen. But intelligence knows, if I want it to happen, I can actually do it. And if we analyze, we waste so much time in the day with idle nonsense. If we just remove that, there's sufficient time. You can do it. And pray to Gaura Mahaprabhu. The whole class can be on just that topic of determination. Any other questions? Shall we chant? Yes. So Prabhupada ki